Hello, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the slideshow about Wayne Thiebaud. He's a fascinating artist and creates really fun artwork, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I wanted to spend a few minutes and explain to you the first step of our project. So you're going to get in your portfolio to take home a sheet of Canson paper, which is a really nice high quality paper that works great for oil pastels. So we're going to use oil pastels again on this project to help us create that nice fluffy frosting texture that Wayne Thiebaud is so famous for. So we're going to use this paper, and it's in this nice soft teal color that Wayne often used for his backgrounds. You're also going to have a small sheet of drawing paper that looks like this. This is what you're going to draw your object on. And then I'm going to show you how to duplicate that object so that you have the same object drawn 3 times. So you're going to choose what you want to draw for your food item. It could be a cupcake, it could be ice cream, it could be a hot dog. You decide what you want it to be. Wayne Thiebaud was probably most famous for his treats, but if you have a favorite non-sweet food that you want to do, that's fine as well. But just to keep in mind, you want to make sure you draw something that you can create lots of nice texture with. So I'm going to do a cupcake. Let me put this down so you guys can see. Okay, and I want to draw it as big as I can on this little square, rectangle. And then we're going to use this to repeat it 3 times on this sheet. So this is already cut to be a great size for each object. So you want to draw it to fill that space though. It doesn't have to fill all the way top to bottom, but you want it to at least touch on either the top and bottom or the side and side, the 2 sides. And my cupcake is a little bit wider than it is tall, so I'm going to make sure it touches these 2 sides. Okay, and so I'm just going to carefully sketch in where I want my cupcake to be. And I want to create a little bit of texture up here with my frosting so I can get some nice detail in with my oil pastel. And it's not straight across because that frosting like really dips down into the... And I'm just going to kind of give some ideas of where those lines of the cupcake paper would go. The rest of it I'm going to really get in my detail when I add in my oil pastels. Okay, so once I get this shape, and I am going to give a little bit of less straight down here. So it's like that cupcake is really nice and soft. Okay, so once I kind of get the idea of what I want my shape to look like, I'm going to darken up my lines and really choose where I want my borders to be. So I start out lightly with my pencil till I get it the way I want it to be. Notice that they don't touch the top and bottom of my paper, but they do touch the side to side of my paper. Okay, so it looks like this. So touching these 2 edges because my cupcake is a little bit wider than it is tall. But if you were doing like an ice cream cone that's more tall than wide, you would want to make sure that it touches the bottom and the top. Okay? All right, so once I have my object, my outline done, my next step is to try to transfer this onto this paper. I want them to be pretty much the same. After I draw them on here, you can make little changes, like maybe one has a cherry, maybe one has a piece of candy on top of it. You can decide, you can make small little changes, but you want the overall objects to be the same. Thiebaud was famous for repeating his objects, okay? And so in order to do that, where they look the same, instead of trying to draw it exactly the same 3 times, I'm going to show you a method on how to transfer this. And so on the back of my drawing, I'm going to put a little piece of scratch paper here. But on the back of my drawing, I'm going to use the edge of my pencil lead, so I kind of do my crab claw so that I can use the flat edge. And I'm just going to lay down some pencil, nice and dark, In this, I'm pressing pretty hard on this. And you want to make sure you have something underneath this because you don't want it to press down into your table or something. All right, so I'm just laying down pencil lines. And you only have to put it down where you have your lines drawn from your object. But you want to make sure it's nice and dark. I don't have anything drawn in the center of my cupcake, so I'm not going to worry about that little section right there. But I do have lines drawn down here. All right, so you want to make sure it's nice and dark. Because what we're going to do is we're going to transfer this pencil onto your paper. Okay, and so I'm going to start in the middle of my paper. And you want to make sure that you're on the right side. One side is a little bit smoother than the other. We want to make sure we're on the little bit rough side. And then I'm going to take my drawing side up, and I want to center it on my blue paper. You want to make sure that you have equal space on both sides. You want to make sure you center it up and down exactly where you want it to go. I want it to make sure I have enough room down here on the bottom for my shadows, so I'm going to scooch it up just a tad. And then after you have it where you want it, you want to be careful not to move it, so hold it tightly with one hand. And then with the other hand, you're going to just push down and trace over your pencil lines. You want to make sure you stay right on top of the lines that you want. Okay, once you're sure you've got all of your lines, then you can carefully lift it up, and what you should see is a nice soft outline of your object. So there's the outline of my cupcake. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to get my scrap piece of paper again, and I'm going to go ahead and just add another layer of pencil on the back because some of it kind of got rubbed off when I did my first transfer. So just make sure you have enough. Add another light layer. And then I'm going to take it and drawing side up. Again, center it on my paper. Make sure it fits nicely between my middle object and the edge of my paper. Making sure it's centered up and down. Again, holding it still. You don't have to like kill it pushing it really, really hard, but you want to push down a decent amount so that you get a nice transfer. You don't need your pencil lines to be super dark though, just a nice soft transfer. Tracing over my lines again. All right, and then carefully lifting it up, and now I have 2 cupcakes there. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll get my scrap paper, turn it over, add another layer of graphite on the back. And lay it back out on my paper, making sure that I'm centered again. Equal space, up and down, side to side. And very carefully, again, and if you're not very good at holding this paper still, you might see if you can get somebody to hold it for you while you're tracing, because it's really important that you don't move it while you're tracing, or your image will be a little bit skewed. And then very carefully lift it up. You want to be careful when you lift it. You don't want to slide it because it will smear your graphite that's on the back of this onto your paper. We want this to stay nice and clean. Okay, so now I have my 3 cupcakes, all the same size, just exactly the same through that transfer. Okay, this is where you need to get to before you come back to class. So you're going to have your objects drawn just like this, and then when you come to class, we will add in our rendering to it so that it looks really nice and fluffy and edible, just like Wayne Thiebaud's artwork. And then when we're all finished with this, and we have all of our color, we will mount it to a black sheet of paper like this, and it's going to look really nice and finished. Beautiful piece of work. So reach out in the comments if you have any questions. You're going to watch the Wayne Thiebaud Google slide and video so that you can learn a little bit about him, get some inspiration. You can, with the help of your parents, you can search Wayne Thiebaud paintings, dessert paintings. Make sure you're with an adult though when you're searching. You always want to do that when you're on the internet searching for artwork. And so look for ideas, look for inspiration, choose one object, and you're going to repeat it 3 times. You're going to draw it first on your little square paper, making sure that you touch either side to side or touch top and bottom. Draw it. Once you have it just the way you want it, then add your graphite to the back and then transfer it to your paper, making sure that you center it as you go. Okay? I'll see you guys back next week, and we'll be ready to add in our rendering. Talk to you soon. Bye.